If you're the kind of person that thanks a service member when you see one, and I can only assume that you are because you're watching this channel, don't forget to thank their family members too, man, because in a lot of ways, their families serve just as much, if not more.
This is Mark Schmitz, Gold Star father of Marine Lance Corporal Jared Schmitz. Here we are on a beautiful holiday weekend day. I got to stop what I'm doing, spending time with what's left of my family, to address a heinous, vile, and disgusting post put out by Kamala Harris, trying to incite those that don't follow the truth that President Trump was in Arlington as a political stunt. Shows you how much you know about the 13 families. We invited him to be there. Groundwork was put into place by Congressman Ice's office to make sure we followed protocol. Why did we want Trump there? It wasn't to help his political campaign. We wanted a leader.
Honestly, man, we're getting to the point in American society where Democrats running for office, man, they should just avoid any topic regarding our military. For the most part, in my opinion at least, the modern day Democrat Party does not appear to care about the sacrifices made by our men and women in uniform and their families. And they definitely don't understand them, right? And this Arlington situation, I don't think it's going away. And I think it's going to continue to backfire on Kamala Harris. You know, this is a fight she doesn't want. This is a fight she should not have started. And she put out a post talking about her visits to Arlington, right? Which honestly, I doubt she would need more than a finger, maybe more than two to count. And, you know, she talked about Arlington being sacred ground, right? And then she went on to quote, you know, all the suckers and losers garbage narrative that the left thinks people actually believe about Donald Trump. She wants you to believe that the people that got your military members killed and then forgot about them on the debate stage, she wants you to think those people are good. And the guy who wants to bring them home and keep them home, well, he's bad. It's not going to work. It's especially not going to work for her.
Gate on August 26, 2021. This year, for the 3rd year anniversary of her murder, we welcome President Donald J. Trump to Arlington to lay a wreath on the tomb of the unknown soldier with our family and to visit Nicole graveside. President Trump and his team were respectful. They listened to our stories and didn't talk much at all. We welcomed them that day and they were comfort to our family. Vice President Harris, I ask you, why won't you return a call and explain to us how you call my daughter-in-law's death a success? Vice President Harris, why will you not express your condolences yourself? Why have we never heard from you? And finally, why would you take a day where we celebrated the death of our loved one and use it to disparage not only them, but us? President Trump has called, President Trump shows up, and President Trump takes the time to hear our loved ones' stories. Why won't you do the same?
Vice President Harris, my name is Steve Nakui. I'm the father of Lance Corporal Kareem M. Nakui. And your administration killed my son, deliberately in exchange for political theatrics so you could have a final day of the evacuation coincide with September 11th. Ignoring the advice of your generals, the Doha Agreement, and countless other veterans and members of Congress. Denying the safety of the Afghans and the servicemen and women. Your choice to play politics in 2021 killed 170 Afghans, 13 U.S. service members, and wounded 45 of our service members, as well as countless Afghans. You were not at Dover for the dignified transfer. At no time have you reached out to me to offer your condolences, to offer thank you for Kareem's sacrifice and service. Not once have you honored him by saying his name, so I said it for you. You have disparaged all 13 who have lost their lives as well as their families, exhibiting your lack of gratitude by your silence. I agree with you on one thing, that a person like you should never and will never stand behind the seal of presidency. You are a DEI vice president, and contrary to our kids, the worst that America has to offer. I will pray for you, that God has mercy on your soul.
My name is Coral Dulero. I am Corporal Humberto Sanchez's mother. This is my statement of what happened on August 26, 2024. My son is not buried in Arlington, but I really feel like when President Trump went and paid tribute and paid his respect in Arlington for our kids, it was not just the ones buried in there. It was for all of our kids, and it was an invitation that the families actually extend to him, and it's not the first time that he actually meet with us and share time and with our families. After 3 years until now, Kamala Harris and President Biden didn't even say their 13 names. They called the withdrawal in Afghanistan a success, and for us it was just sadness and a disgrace.
Vice President Harris, my name is Jim McCollum. I am the Gold Star father of United States Marine Corps Lance Corporal Riley McCollum, killed in Afghanistan, August 26, 2021. Your recent remarks related to Trump's visit to Arlington are filled with nothing but lies and deceit. You have failed for 3 years and 8 months to acknowledge our kids, to acknowledge me. You don't know me. You've never spoken to me. You've never reached out to me. You have failed in your duties as vice president. You know nothing about honor, courage, commitment, respect, but President Trump does. President Trump has been there for us. He's been a rock for us. He showed compassion for us, and he showed he truly cares for the families that truly do know what the ultimate sacrifice really is. You have the day you deserve.
Kamala, your statement is nothing more than a political spin to help you look better in your presidential campaign against Donald Trump. You have never walked a single day in our shoes. Our kids were murdered because of your administration, and you are partly to blame for that as well. What happened at Arlington was President Trump was invited by those families who have their soldiers buried at Arlington. They were invited there as a friend, as somebody who has taken the time numerous times on numerous occasions to hear our stories, to speak our kids' names, and to help us get some accountability from your administration. Because in over 3 years, we have gotten nothing but more and more lies. Just like your statement, more and more spun lies and cover-ups to make you and your administration look good. But there is one thing that you said in your statement that was true. No one should be running for president if they cannot honor military members, their families, as well as veterans. So I guess that means that you should step down, Kamala.
My name is Darren Hoover, and I'm the Gold Star father of United States Marine Corps Staff Sergeant Taylor Hoover. Kamala, I want you to understand, and I know it will be difficult for you because you lack empathy and basic understanding. We invited President Trump. We are the ones that asked for the video and the pictures to be taken. Let me be clear. There was no politics discussed, none whatsoever. There was also not an assault that we observed take place, or did we hear it? I don't know where this is coming from, but it's disgusting and gross.
Good afternoon. My name is Herman Lopez. I'm a Gold Star father. My son, Corporal Hunter Lopez, was a U.S. Marine killed in action on August 26, 2021. This message is intended for Vice President Kamala Harris. I'm not a person who usually takes to social media, but earlier today, your post regarding the incident at Arlington National Cemetery was brought to my attention. After reading it, it caused a reaction with me. You indicated in your post that you support the military and military families. I, for one, have not seen that support. It's been 3 years since my son was killed in action, and myself, my family, and other Gold Star families have not seen any support from you or your administration. You may make hollow promises about the economy or anything else you'd like to make promises about. But one thing that I ask of you, and the reason I'm making this message, is for you to stop making comments about your support for the military. As a Gold Star father, I know that you have not supported us. I know that you have not supported other Gold Star families.
Every single one of these 13 families has responded to Kamala Harris, right? And none of it is flattering. And here's the thing, as I watch these videos and read these tweets and read their Facebook posts, I'm surprised that Kamala Harris and her handlers even dared to swim into this pool, man. I mean, it's beyond belief. I mean, she brags about being the last one in the room when the decision to surrender Afghanistan was made. She's been quoted as saying the outcome was uncomfortable, but necessary. And she hasn't even thought to take the time to hear these families, to talk to these families, to do anything. I mean, she chose a fake command sergeant major as her running mate, a guy that lied about serving in combat, and somehow they thought it was a good idea to try to use Gold Star families as some sort of weapon against Donald Trump. If they thought this would work, they're in the wrong business, man. They should not be running a political campaign, and it turns out, a lot of our media, they're in the wrong business too.
His campaign took photos and video of him in Section 60, where veterans of the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan are buried, used it in a campaign video. The Army also says that Trump staffers abruptly pushed aside a cemetery official who tried to enforce Arlington's rules prohibiting political activities. I know you were with Trump at least earlier in that day at the tomb of the unknown soldier. Did you witness the altercation at Section 60?
I was there from the beginning with the laying of the wreaths with the family members, the Gold Star family members, and some of the survivors of that terrorist attack in that disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan. I was with them at Section 60, and what I saw was a very grave and somber remembrance and honoring of those lives that were lost. And I saw President Trump spending time at the invitation of these Gold Star families with them. He was there for a few hours. I did not see or hear about any kind of altercation until something came out in the news later on. The families were there grieving alongside President Trump, and it was a very special moment to really remember their names, remember their memories, and understand the true cost of war and the consequences of the decisions that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden made in the execution of that withdrawal.
Yeah, and it is very clear that the former president was invited in his personal capacity, as you said, by a family of one of the service members who was killed about 2 years ago during the withdrawal from Afghanistan.
It was 3 years ago.
3 years ago.
3 years ago to the day on August 26th.
Yes, 3 years ago. The question...
I'm telling you, man, no one on the left seems to care at all. I mean, Dana Bash, man, the lead propagandist for Kamala Harris, just think about this. She brings on a major in the United States Army, someone who was actually there at the cemetery, and she doesn't even care enough to know what she's talking about. I mean, these people prepare for these shows. They have notes, they have producers, they have entire freaking staffs, and she doesn't even know when these heroes died. She doesn't care to know. That's the difference. She does not care to know. And God bless Tulsi Gabbard, man. God bless Tulsi Gabbard. She's not going to let her get away with this lazy garbage, But these people, I'm telling you, dude, they do not care about the military. They don't care about the sacred ground of Arlington. They do not care about Abbey Gate or Afghanistan or any of it. All this is to them is just the latest opportunity to poison some victim's mind, some viewer victim of CNN, poison their mind about Donald Trump.
Years ago. The question is about the federal law and Arlington's rules that prohibit partisan or political activities at national cemeteries. And the military and also other members of other families who are buried right near there are upset about the campaign filming it and posting the video online. Do you believe that was appropriate?
You know, I checked with the campaign on this question, and they have exchanges with the officials at Arlington Cemetery. They were approved to bring a camera there to document this historic and momentous day that should not be forgotten by any American. And to have a former president there and joining these Gold Star families, I know President Trump wanted to share that with others, especially given the fact that President Biden and Harris, I heard, were invited by some of these family members. They not only didn't come, they didn't even respond to that invitation. And now to have Kamala Harris put this statement out yesterday saying that she stands with these families, she stands with the military and with veterans, you only have to look at the response that came from the Gold Star families of these 13 service members, of how offended they were by that statement, given she has not made any effort, not on that third anniversary or any other time, to call them directly to offer her condolences and even apologies for their decisions that led to the loss of their loved ones.
Do you think that the campaign will release that communication that you're talking about? Because the Army is saying very clearly that they broke the rules because it was clearly put out online, pictures, video, meant as a part of his campaign.
I thought they already had. I was informed that they had come to an agreement. They could bring a camera there. And as far as I know, and the public statements I've seen from the Army, is that the matter is closed.
I think the matter is closed about the altercation, alleged altercation, which you didn't see, but I'm not sure it's closed with the idea that they seem to have broken the rules and perhaps even federal law by putting out the campaign video. I want to ask you about...
I just like to say one last thing on this, because I think it's important, and I've seen a lot of the headlines and the stories and the concerns that people are raising about this. But to me, as a soldier and as someone who has been deployed to different war zones in the world, and I have friends who are buried there at Section 60, what is more outrageous to me is that there wasn't universal coverage of the momentous day of the third anniversary of the loss of these 13 Gold Star families, and the outrage that they feel that their loved ones are not getting the kind of coverage and memory that their great sacrifice deserves. That is what everyone should be outraged about.
Well, yeah, we have covered the horrible events 3 years ago, and have done so several times. Over and over again. So I appreciate you also talking about their memories, because it is important.
That's absolute mic drop, man. I mean, Tulsi Gabbard, dude. I mean, God bless Tulsi Gabbard. One of the most principled people I think we'll ever see in American politics, right? And she does not let these people get off easy. And she's absolutely right. You know, the Abbey Gate Memorial should absolutely be covered everywhere, every single year. And honestly, I personally believe that if it wasn't for politics, it absolutely would be. But they know, the media recognizes, you know, and the entirety of the left, all of them recognize that Afghanistan was an absolute freaking disaster. And they know that it belongs to Joe Biden and it belongs to Kamala Harris. That's why it's not covered. And you know they know it, because they absolutely refuse to talk about this stuff, man. And the amazing thing to me is that they bring on people like Tulsi Gabbard and they bring on Tom Cotton to talk about it.
Bottom line, though, I guess, Senator, is it ever appropriate to make campaign content at military grave sites?
He didn't take campaign photos there. These families, Gold Star families, whose children died because of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's incompetence, invited him to the cemetery, and they asked him to take those photos because, as they told me yesterday when I spoke to Kelly Barnett and Darren Hoover, the parents of Taylor Hoover, who has Arkansas ties, they don't get to go to the beach on Labor Day. They don't get to have barbecues. This is their one chance to have a memory of their children, to commemorate their service and to honor their sacrifice. They wanted President Trump there. They wanted to take those photos. You know who the families also invited? Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Where were they? Joe Biden was sitting at a beach. Kamala Harris was sitting at her mansion in Washington, D.C. She was 4 miles away. 10 minutes. She could have gone to the cemetery and honored the sacrifice of those young men and women. But she hasn't. She never has spoken to them or taken a meeting with them.
Well, they did meet with them during the dignified transfer.
Because of
they were with them at the dignified transfer.
Her and Joe Biden's incompetence, those 13 Americans were killed in Afghanistan.
Just listen to how quick they are to defend Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. I mean, they use these kids as a political stunt. You know, they put the Taliban in charge of their safety and their security, and they got those kids killed. They never made a phone call, never wrote a letter, never made a real public statement about any of it. And Joe Biden himself pretended that it never happened when he was on the debate stage. And just a reminder, man, they keep talking about the dignified transfer. This is how the dignified transfer went. That is exactly how much these people cared about these service members or about any of these Gold Star families. That is exactly who these people are. In one picture, that's who they are. And that's what Kristen Welker is, debasing herself trying to defend. And she's not the only one, man. Most of the media has played a role in yet again ignoring these families and using them every bit that they could. They're happy to talk about them or to them, but only when they think that they can use it, right? They'll only cover Afghanistan or cover these families if they think there's a possibility that it's going to hurt Donald Trump or help Democrats, right? And that's amazing to me, right? Even knowing how shallow and how corrupt many of these people are, it really is amazing that they're this bad. But that's all I've got, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you haven't already, be a part of our growth. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Most importantly, share the channel. I'll see you in the next one.